There are places on this planet so staggering, so improbable, that encountering them feels less like travel and more like trespassing into Earth's most guarded secrets. Imagine stepping onto a blinding white expanse where salt crystals shimmer like broken stars, and the horizon disappears into a perfect, impossible infinity. Picture standing on the lip of a canyon where swirling stone walls hold the buried memories of ancient oceans, forgotten climates, and civilizations long erased by time. Envision walking beneath trees older than empires, giants whose roots anchor stories humanity has barely begun to understand. Think of the night sky erupting into ribbons of living light as the northern lights pulse overhead like the heartbeat of a world beyond our own. Or witnessing a lake so vividly pink it feels painted by an unseen hand, its colors shaped by forces both scientific and strangely otherworldly. From Iceland's sapphire ice caverns to the knife-edge ridgelines of the world's highest peaks, these landscapes call to those who seek more than beauty. They call to those who chase the edges of the possible. Cross deserts where silence feels sacred, or follow water-carved pathways to ethereal wonders like Scotland's fairy pools or Chile's marble caves, where nature sculpts its own cathedrals. This is not simply a journey, it is an initiation, a step into places that challenge what we believe Earth can be. The planet is full of marvels hidden in plain sight, if you're willing to find them. And before we descend into the extraordinary, subscribe and join us as we uncover the rarest, most breathtaking corners of our world. Pamukkale, Turkey. Pamukkale reveals itself as a luminous geological tapestry, where terraces of gleaming travertine flow down the hillside with a sculptural elegance reminiscent of carved marble. Known to antiquity as a place of healing, its mineral-rich thermal springs once drew the attention of Greek physicians and Roman aristocrats, who regarded these waters as both restorative and sacred. The terraces still hold warm, mineral-laden pools whose delicate turquoise tones echo the same serene beauty experienced by ancient bathers centuries ago. Here, water and stone meet in perfect harmony, creating a landscape that feels simultaneously ethereal and meticulously crafted by natural forces over millennia. Above the terraces lie the storied ruins of Hierapolis, a Greco-Roman spa city whose temples, colonnades, and extensive necropolis reflect a sophisticated culture built around wellness, ritual, and intellectual life. For a more contemplative visit, travelers may aim for early morning, when the soft light reveals both Pamukkale's geological artistry and Hierapolis's enduring imprint with a quiet clarity seldom found elsewhere. Socotra Island, Yemen. Set like a forgotten fragment of another world in the Arabian Sea, Socotra Island has remained isolated for millions of years, its landscapes carrying an almost mythic stillness that feels untouched by time. Here, nearly 1/3 of all plant species exist nowhere else. And the legendary dragon's blood tree, with its crown shaped like an otherworldly umbrella and resin the color of ancient lore, stands as both guardian and symbol of the island's strange enchantment. Its harsh, arid climate and prolonged isolation have forged life forms so unusual that many seem to belong to an age before humanity, creatures evolving in secrecy behind the island's natural barriers. Vast limestone plateaus rise like abandoned fortresses, caves descend into shadowed chambers, and remote beaches stretch untouched, each landscape holding its own quiet mysteries and unspoken stories. Amid this surreal wilderness lives a small community whose people preserve the ancient Syra language and traditions, passing down knowledge through oral tales that echo the island's timeless, enigmatic spirit. Lake Hillier, Australia. On the far edge of Western Australia's Recherche Archipelago, Lake Hillier emerges like an impossible jewel, an expanse of pink so vivid that it seems to glow from within. Its radiance contrasts dramatically with the surrounding deep blue ocean, creating a natural palette so unexpected that it reshapes one's sense of what a landscape can be. This unlikely color traces back to Dunaliella salina, a microalgae uniquely adapted to the lake's hypersaline waters. Through the production of carotenoid compounds, These organisms lend the lake its unusual, enduring blush, an effect that remains visible even when a drop of water is held in the hand. Framed by bright salt rims and the cool shadow of eucalyptus forest, the lake forms a striking triad of white, pink, and green that reaches its full brilliance when viewed from above. Though the waters are safe to enter, the lake's remote setting ensures that most visitors encounter it from a respectful distance, an approach that preserves both its fragile ecology and its sense of untouched wonder. Salar de Uyuni, Bolivia. High on Bolivia's Altiplano, Salar de Uyuni stretches across the earth like an immense sheet of crystalline light, its hexagonal salt patterns forming one of the planet's most striking natural designs. Once the basin of a prehistoric lake, the flat transforms in the rainy season into a perfect mirror, creating a seamless fusion of sky and ground that blurs the boundaries of the physical world. Walking across this vast expanse feels almost surreal, the salt crust crackling beneath your feet as endless horizons ripple in reflected clouds and shifting light. At dusk, the landscape becomes a living canvas as gold, rose, and violet hues spread across the flats, turning the entire plateau into a luminous, dreamlike world. Salar de Uyuni is a place where nature's scale, silence, and artistry converge, offering travelers a rare encounter with a landscape that feels untouched, infinite, and profoundly otherworldly. Antelope Canyon, USA. Carved deep within the sandstone heart of Arizona, Antelope Canyon feels like a portal into Earth's geological past, an otherworldly labyrinth sculpted by water, wind, and time across millions of years. As you move through its narrow, spiraling corridors, the walls blaze with shifting tones of red, gold, and ember, transforming with each passing sunbeam that slips through the canyon's high openings. Every smooth ridge and flowing contour preserves the imprint of ancient floods, forming a natural archive that tells the story of a landscape shaped long before humans ever set foot here. Stepping inside is less a simple hike and more an immersion into nature's most intricate craftsmanship, an experience enriched by Navajo guides who share cultural insight and the canyon's deeper spiritual significance. For those planning a visit, the midday hours offer the most spectacular light beams, allowing Antelope Canyon to reveal its full luminous character, an unforgettable encounter with one of the planet's most remarkable natural formations. Tunnel of Love, Ukraine. In a quiet corner of western Ukraine, the Tunnel of Love emerges as a rare ecological corridor, shaped by years of uninterrupted growth over an aging railway line. Its appearance morphs dramatically with the seasons, creating distinct micro-landscapes, dense green canopies, autumnal arches of amber, and winter tunnels etched in frost. Embedded within local folklore is the belief that couples who walk its length can strengthen their bond through the act of making a wish beneath its living vault. Beyond the myth, the tunnel offers a compelling example of how natural succession can transform human infrastructure into a functioning habitat. Today, it draws both scientists and romantics alike, those seeking to understand nature's resilience and those simply hoping to experience its quiet enchantment. Cappadocia, Turkey. Cappadocia rises from the Anatolian plains like a landscape caught between myth and geology, its contours softened by ancient eruptions and sculpted by relentless winds. Across its valleys, the famed fairy chimneys stand in clusters, natural spires shaped over ages, yet their surfaces bear unmistakable signs of human ingenuity. Carved chambers, cliffside chapels, entire underground cities hidden in the quiet beneath. Here, communities once sought refuge within volcanic stone, leaving behind tunnel networks and frescoed sanctuaries that tell stories of faith, survival, and artistry. Guarema National Park protects these legacies, its Byzantine paintings glowing from dim cave walls as if time itself pauses to preserve their color. And when morning arrives, a fleet of hot air balloons ascends into the pale sky, drifting above terraces of rose-colored rock and turning Cappadocia into a landscape that feels less observed than dreamed. Zhangjiajie National Forest Park, China. Rising out of the morning mist, like a kingdom suspended between earth and sky, Zhangjiajie National Forest Park offers a first glimpse so astonishing it feels almost unreal. More than 3,000 sandstone pillars pierce the clouds, colossal towers shaped over millions of years, forming one of the planet's most dramatic and gravity-defying landscapes. Their surreal silhouettes later inspired the floating mountains of Avatar, a testament to how profoundly this place blurs the line between imagination and reality. Beneath the pillars, dense forests, hidden ravines, and rare wildlife create an ecological refuge where nature thrives in layers of quiet complexity. Spanning one of its deepest gorges, the record-breaking glass bridge showcases China's bold engineering spirit while offering breathtaking, unobstructed views across the rugged terrain. Zhangjiajie leaves travelers with a final impression as towering as its cliffs, a place where geology, mythology, and human ambition converge into an experience that lingers long after the journey ends. Aurora Borealis. The Aurora Borealis sweeps across the northern skies like a celestial tapestry come alive, transforming regions such as Norway, Iceland, and Canada into stages for one of Earth's most mesmerizing natural performances. This radiant display emerges when charged solar particles collide with atmospheric gases high above the planet, creating luminous ribbons of green, rose, gold, and violet that ripple with almost sentient grace. Each appearance is fleeting and entirely unique, curving, twisting, and dissolving into the dark as if the night itself were painting in motion. Best viewed during the extended winter nights of high-latitude landscapes, the northern lights reveal not only beauty, but also the invisible magnetic forces that shield the Earth from cosmic storms. For travelers who witness them, the aurora becomes more than a spectacle. It becomes a memory etched permanently into the senses, a rare moment when the universe feels both vast and intimately close. Hallstatt, Austria. Hallstatt reveals itself like a quiet masterpiece of the Alps, where nature's grandeur takes center stage and the village seems merely woven into the landscape rather than built upon it. Hemmed in by sheer limestone cliffs and a glacial lake that reflects every cloud and crest, the town's clustered houses appear to cascade gently down toward the water, echoing the natural contours of the valley. Surrounded by ancient forests and mountains carved by millennia of ice and rain, Hallstatt's history of salt mining feels inseparable from the geology that shaped both the land and the lives of those who settled it. Even as visitors wander its small lanes, the true sense of wonder often comes from the surrounding wilderness, the shifting mist on the peaks, the mirrored stillness of the lake, the clarity of alpine air. And for most who arrive, the view from the waterfront becomes the defining memory, a perfect union of mountain, water, and sky that captures the untouched majesty of Austria's alpine world. Rainbow Mountains, Peru. Long before travelers ever arrived in the Andes, Vinicunca existed as a hidden chronicle, an exposed slice of Earth's history where color itself became a record of time. What appears today as sweeping bands of red, saffron, jade, and violet is not merely a visual spectacle, but a sequence of mineral stories layered through ancient seas, vanished climates, and shifting continents. Those layers were later tilted skyward by the violent birth of the Andes, turning geological strata into a mountain face that reads like a vivid timeline written across stone. For centuries, this chromatic landscape lay buried beneath glacial ice, only revealing its full spectrum as the ice retreated, making Vinicunca one of the few natural wonders humanity has only recently been able to witness in its true form. Now, the Rainbow Mountain rises as both a scientific artifact and a cultural beacon, where high-altitude trails are still walked by Quechua communities whose traditions remain woven into the rhythm of these ancient, multicolored slopes. Dead Sea, Jordan/Israel. Between the ancient kingdoms of Jordan and Israel lies the Dead Sea, a vast mineral basin that feels less like a body of water and more like a remnant from the Earth's earliest chapters. More than 430 meters below sea level, this hypersaline expanse holds travelers effortlessly afloat, its dense waters preserving a buoyancy so improbable it borders on the surreal. For millennia, traders, healers, and rulers, from Nabatean merchants to Judean kings, have sought its shores, drawn to the mineral-rich mud long revered for its restorative and ceremonial significance. Encircled by desert cliffs etched in ochre and salt terraces gleaming like sculpted crystal, the landscape forms a stark, almost lunar tableau shaped by heat, wind, and evaporation. Yet beneath this beauty lies a quiet warning. Rapidly receding waters reveal sinkholes and exposed salt beds, reminding us that even the most timeless landscapes can vanish if not fiercely protected. The Chocolate Hills, Philippines. In the heart of Bohol Province, the Chocolate Hills rise in elegant repetition, a sweeping tapestry of thousands of conical mounds that reshape the horizon into one of Southeast Asia's most distinctive natural landscapes. Spanning more than 50 square kilometers, these hills, numbering between 1,260 and 1,776, rise in near-perfect symmetry, their heights shifting subtly from gentle slopes to towers of up to 120 meters. During the dry season, the grass covering their surfaces fades into a deep cocoa brown, transforming the terrain into a giant mosaic of chocolate-colored domes that appears almost crafted by design. Geologists trace their origins to the slow erosion of ancient marine limestone, shaped over millennia by rainfall, groundwater, and the gradual uplift of the land. But beyond science, the hills hold cultural resonance for the Visayan people, inspiring legends of giants, lost loves, and creation myths, stories that make this landscape not only a geological wonder, but a cherished symbol of Philippine identity. Mount Bromo, Indonesia. Mount Bromo rises from the volcanic plains of East Java like a living monument, its perfect cone emerging from the vast Tengger Massif, surrounded by a landscape that feels sculpted by fire and time. Though modest in height at 2,329 meters, the mountain commands attention through atmosphere rather than scale. Dawn light spilling over smoking ridges, drifting mist pouring across the caldera, and shadows sweeping across the sea of sand. At its center, Bromo's smoldering crater breathes continuously, sending wisps of sulfur into the air and shaping a scene so stark and ethereal that it seems to belong to another world entirely. For the Tengur people who have lived beside this volcano for centuries, the mountain is not merely a landmark, but a guardian spirit, honored each year through the Yajna Kasada ceremony, where prayers, offerings, and tradition rise with the smoke. Together, the fierce beauty of its volcanic terrain and the enduring reverence of its people make Mount Bromo both a natural wonder and a cultural sanctuary, one of Southeast Asia's most unforgettable places. Madagascar's Baobab Alley. Along a remote stretch of western Madagascar, Baobab Alley rises from the savanna like a gathering of silent titans, trees so massive and sculptural they seem less grown than carved by centuries of wind and dust. Many of these ancient baobabs have witnessed 800 years of shifting seasons, their swollen trunks storing the rains and their roots anchoring life in a landscape defined by drought and heat. As the sun edges toward the horizon, the entire avenue transforms. Long shadows sweep across the ochre earth. The sky ignites with layered color, and the baobabs stand like dark monoliths against the fading light. For nearby communities and the wildlife that depend on them, these giants are more than scenery. They are sources of food, myth, memory, and survival, forming a living archive of Madagascar's ecological and cultural heritage. Plitvice Lakes, Croatia. Plitvice Lakes unfolds like a vast watercolor landscape, where luminous pools cascade through ancient forests and waterfalls drift in veils of mist across a valley carved from limestone. Sixteen terraced lakes spill into one another in a sweeping progression of turquoise and emerald, their surfaces reflecting cliffs, pine canopies, and the quiet movement of wildlife that thrives in this protected sanctuary. As light shifts across the day, the waters deepen through shades of jade, sapphire, and silver, colors shaped by minerals, sunlight, and the living organisms that define the park's unique aquatic world. Beneath the flow, travertine barriers slowly rise and reshape the terrain, creating terraces and ledges that evolve continually under the influence of moss, algae, and mineral-rich waters. The result is a landscape in permanent motion, an ever-changing symphony of water, stone, and forest that makes Plitvice one of Europe's most poetic and powerful natural wonders. Ha Long Bay, Vietnam. Ha Long Bay unfurls like a monumental seascape carved by geological time, its limestone towers rising in serene sculptural forms from jade-green waters, creating a panorama both majestic and otherworldly. Across its 1,600 islands, forested cliffs drift in and out of mist. Yet beneath this tranquil beauty lies a deep history. The bay's limestone has recorded tens of millions of years of tectonic uplift, monsoon erosion, and ancient marine cycles. Local legends offer another story, speaking of celestial dragons descending to the earth, scattering emerald islands to shield Vietnam from invaders, a myth that lingers like a quiet echo across the karst-studded horizon. Hidden within the formations are grottos adorned with stalactites shaped by centuries of dripping water, along with sheltered coves and floating fishing villages whose traditions preserve the rhythms of life that have endured here for generations. Experienced from a boat gliding between towering cliffs or from a kayak brushing the water's stillness, Ha Long Bay offers a rare tableau, one where nature's grandeur and serenity unfold with deliberate, breathtaking grace. The Giant's Causeway, Northern Ireland. Where the North Atlantic hammers the coast of Northern Ireland, the Giant's Causeway emerges from the shoreline like a fractured memory of volcanic fire, thousands of basalt columns rising and tilting toward the sea in silent formation. From above, the landscape reads like a vast geological grid. From ground level, each column feels sculpted by a different force, some smoothed by wind, some split by frost, all shaped by the relentless rhythm of tide and weather. The deeper you walk into the formation, the more the environment changes. The air thickens with ocean spray, cliffs tower on both sides, and the Atlantic's roar turns the coast into a living amphitheater. Light shifts quickly here, clouds race overhead, shadows slide across the hexagonal stones, and sudden bursts of sun ignite the columns with copper and slate hues, revealing textures etched over millions of years. And at the edge where rock meets water, the landscape becomes its most powerful, a raw meeting point of volcanic past and restless present, a place where every wave rewrites the contours of an ancient world still in motion. The Great Barrier Reef, Australia. Extending more than 2,300 kilometers along Queensland's northeastern coast, the Great Barrier Reef forms an immense marine corridor that stands as the largest and most intricate coral reef system on the planet. Composed of nearly 3,000 reefs and close to 900 islands, this vast seascape supports one of Earth's richest concentrations of biodiversity, ranging from ancient coral species and reef-building organisms to hundreds of fish, marine mammals, and invertebrates that rely on its complex habitats. Its color and vitality arise from a delicate biological interplay. Corals and symbiotic algae sharing nutrients and energy in a finely tuned relationship that underpins the reef's entire ecological stability. Yet, this natural archive of evolutionary history now faces unprecedented pressures, from ocean warming and acidification to pollution and unsustainable exploitation, making it a frontline indicator of the global climate crisis. Safeguarding the Great Barrier Reef is therefore not only an act of environmental stewardship, but a responsibility to protect an irreplaceable living system whose loss would echo far beyond Australia's shores. The White Desert, Egypt. The White Desert of Egypt stretches out like a lost world at the edge of the Sahara, an immense, silent stage where wind and time have sculpted the earth into forms that defy reason. Scattered across the Golden Plain, colossal chalk formations stand like spectral guardians, towering figures shaped by relentless sandstorms into silhouettes of giant birds, phantom ships, and frozen waves adrift in an ocean of dunes. Under the shifting sun, the landscape transforms dramatically, blazing white at midday, then glowing rose and amber as evening light ignites the desert's surreal contours. Set within the ancient Farafra Depression, the region hides marine fossils embedded in its rock, cryptic relics from a vanished sea, reminding travelers that even the quietest deserts carry memories far older than civilization itself. Angel Falls, Venezuela. Angel Falls plunges from the summit of Ollantaytambo in Canaima National Park with such staggering height, 979 meters, that the cascade dissolves into drifting mist long before it reaches the rainforest floor. Its nearly kilometer-long descent appears to spill directly from the clouds, a spectacle born from the ancient sandstone table mountains that dominate the Guyana highlands. Long before its encounter with aviator Jimmy Angel in 1933, the waterfall was known to the indigenous Pemon people as Karapakupai Maru, the waterfall of the deepest place, a name that reflects both reverence and mythology woven through generations. Accessing this remote wonder requires river journeys along blackwater channels and treks through dense jungle, making the approach as unforgettable as the destination itself. Encircling the falls, the primordial landscapes of the Guyana highlands harbor rare flora and fauna, species isolated for millennia, transforming Angel Falls into not just a dramatic natural landmark, but a window into one of Earth's oldest and most mysterious ecosystems. Yellowstone National Park, USA. Yellowstone spreads across the high plateaus of the American West like a vast geological tapestry, where columns of steam, boiling springs, and shifting earth remind visitors that the land beneath their feet is very much alive. More than half of the world's geysers erupt here, each powered by a massive magma chamber deep below, Old Faithful among them, rising like a heartbeat that reveals the park's volcanic core. Across this immense landscape, rivers carve through canyon walls stained in rust and gold, meadows ripple with wind, and forests shelter bison, wolves, elk, and bears moving through ecosystems that have existed for millennia. Perched atop a volcanic hotspot, Yellowstone offers a rare lens into Earth's inner workings, a place where tectonic forces, heat, and time continually sculpt the terrain in ways both subtle and spectacular. And at its center lies the Grand Prismatic Spring, a radiant pool ringed with impossible colors, each hue created by microbial communities that flourish in temperatures where most life cannot endure, nature's own luminous signature etched into the land. Las Lajas Sanctuary, Colombia. Las Lajas Sanctuary clings to the walls of a towering Andean gorge as if it emerged from the mountain itself, its Gothic arches and stone bridge suspended above the river like a vision from another age. Raised between 1916 and 1949, the basilica stands on a site long steeped in devotion, where generations of pilgrims have crossed treacherous terrain to reach a place believed to hold extraordinary spiritual power. According to enduring local legend, the Virgin Mary appeared on the canyon's rock face in the 18th century, leaving behind an image said to be miraculously embedded in the stone, an enigma that continues to draw the faithful and the curious. With waterfalls rushing beneath its foundations and sheer cliffs enveloping its facade, the sanctuary creates a haunting blend of natural drama and sacred mystery, making it one of South America's most astonishing religious landmarks. The Marble Caves, Chile. In a remote corner of Chilean Patagonia, the Marble Caves emerge from Lake General Carrera as a luminous sanctuary where water, stone, and light have collaborated for millennia to sculpt a masterpiece of swirling, veined marble. As the seasons shift and the glacier-fed lake rises and falls, the chambers drift through an ever-changing palette of celeste, aquamarine, and soft alabaster, transformations so subtle and fluid that each moment feels unrepeatable. When sunlight penetrates the crystalline water and washes across the carved interiors, the caverns glow with an otherworldly iridescence, creating an atmosphere that feels less discovered than quietly revealed by nature's most delicate artistry. The Fairy Pools, Scotland. On the Isle of Skye, the fairy pools reveal a striking sequence of crystal-clear basins carved into ancient volcanic rock, where the landscape feels shaped by raw highland wilderness rather than legend. The Black Quillen Mountains tower above in sharp, dramatic peaks, their dark slopes funneling water into a cascade of pools that shimmer like fragments of sky fallen to earth. Fed by icy mountain streams, the waters glow in luminous shades of teal and deep green, so transparent that every stone and ripple beneath the surface appears etched in perfect detail. Remote, windswept, and profoundly serene, the fairy pools embody the untouched grandeur of Scotland's wild terrains, an environment where nature's beauty speaks with unmistakable power. Raja Ampat, Indonesia. Raja Ampat, lying off the remote northwest coast of West Papua, Indonesia, forms an immense island constellation of more than 1,500 forested isles scattered across the Coral Triangle. Renowned as one of the most biodiverse marine regions on Earth, its turquoise waters shimmer with life, from swirling shoals of reef fish to graceful manta rays gliding through sunlit depths. The vibrant coral reefs, among the healthiest anywhere in the world, create a living refuge for countless species of marine creatures, many of which thrive exclusively within this protected environment. Above the waterline, the islands rise in dramatic limestone spires, clothed in lush rainforest, home to endemic birds, unique marsupials, and plants shaped by millennia of isolation. Hidden lagoons, secret coves, and towering karst formations give the landscape an almost mythical quality, as if carved from a forgotten world. Despite its dreamlike beauty, Raja Ampat remains a vital stronghold for global marine conservation, anchoring ecosystems that support ocean health far beyond Indonesia's borders. As a remote sanctuary where biodiversity flourishes against all odds, it stands as both a paradise for divers and a powerful reminder of the ocean's fragility and its extraordinary resilience when safeguarded. Devil's Tower, USA. Rising abruptly from the sweeping plains of northeastern Wyoming, Devil's Tower appears like a colossal stone monolith, a natural pillar whose sheer form commands the surrounding landscape. Known as Bear Lodge to many indigenous nations, the formation holds profound spiritual significance, serving for centuries as a place of ceremony, storytelling, and connection to ancestral memory. Geologists attribute its creation to the slow cooling of underground magma, which fractured into towering vertical columns that give the structure its unmistakable cathedral-like profile. Declared the first U.S. national monument in 1906, it attracts climbers and hikers from around the world, though many pause their ascent during culturally sensitive times out of respect for tribal traditions. Where sacred heritage and deep geological time converge, Devil's Tower stands as both a striking natural landmark and a living symbol of the relationship between people and the land they revere. Ice caves in Vatnajökull, Iceland. Beneath the immense ice cap of Vatnajökull, Europe's largest glacier, adventurers descend into a hidden world where every cave feels like a gateway carved by the glacier itself. In summer, meltwater bores twisting tunnels through the ice. In winter, these passages solidify into shimmering corridors of sapphire blue, reshaping the landscape with each new season. The deeper you walk, the more the centuries-old ice reveals its secrets, light filtered into an electric blue glow, frozen air humming against walls sculpted by pressure, time, and relentless cold. Inside, the stillness is profound, broken only by the distant drip of meltwater, creating an atmosphere that feels both thrilling and humbling, as though you've stepped into the living heart of the glacier. For explorers, entering these fleeting caverns is a rare privilege, an intimate encounter with Iceland's raw glacial power, and a reminder that some of the world's greatest wonders last only long enough for the bold to witness them. Mount Everest, Nepal, and Tibet. Mount Everest towers above the Himalayas like a colossal white citadel. Its 8,848-meter summit rising into air so thin and icy it appears closer to the realm of the heavens than the earth below. Born from violent tectonic uplift, the mountain continues to climb millimeter by millimeter each year, its jagged ridges and shifting glaciers recording the restless heartbeat of the planet. Here, Hurricane-force winds, sudden blizzards, and temperatures that plunge far below freezing sculpt a landscape so unforgiving that even the simplest step becomes a battle against altitude, ice, and the weight of the sky itself. To the Sherpa people, Everest is Chomolungma, the sacred mother goddess, a mountain believed to harbor spirits and mysteries older than the earliest human footprints that dared to approach her slopes. Wrapped in swirling cloud bands, lit by cold Himalayan light, and echoing with the thunder of avalanches, Everest remains a place where nature's power and ancient myth converge, an enigmatic frontier that both humbles and haunts all who stand in its shadow. Tsingy de Bemaraha, Madagascar. Tsingy de Bemaraha National Park rises from western Madagascar like a colossal fortress of stone, its landscape dominated by labyrinthine limestone pinnacles that slice into the sky with dramatic intensity. Over millions of years, rain, wind, and groundwater carved these towering formations into a vast karst maze, an immense stone forest whose jagged geometry is unlike anything else on Earth. The name Tsingy, meaning where one cannot walk barefoot, reflects the sharp blade-like ridges and deep fractures that define this extreme terrain. Yet, even in such rugged conditions, the park supports remarkable biodiversity. Lemurs leap gracefully across narrow crests, rare birds patrol the cliffs, and hardy plants anchor themselves in crevices of ancient rock. For adventurous travelers, suspended rope bridges and narrow passageways provide the safest routes, and the best tip is to visit during the dry season, when the stone trails are most accessible and the panoramic views from the high Tsingy are at their most breathtaking. Bryce Canyon, USA. In southern Utah, Bryce Canyon National Park unveils a chain of colossal natural amphitheaters carved into the edge of a high plateau, each one sculpted with almost theatrical grandeur. Its iconic hoodoos, slender stone spires formed by relentless cycles of frost, snowmelt, and erosion, rise in dense clusters that resemble an ancient, weather-worn city frozen in time. The landscape burns with hues of crimson, saffron, and alabaster, igniting at sunrise and sunset when shifting light turns the cliffs into a glowing mosaic of color. Every stratum of rock holds a story from Earth's distant past, a layered archive of vanished seas, desert winds, and the slow artistry of geologic time. And when night falls across its lofty elevations, Bryce transforms again, its thin air and absence of light pollution revealing a star-studded sky so vivid and immense, it feels like stepping into the universe itself. Lake Natron, Tanzania. In northern Tanzania, Lake Natron stretches across the Rift Valley like a vast sheet of liquid fire, its scarlet and ruby tones giving the landscape an eerie, almost primordial glow. The lake's intense coloration comes from extremophile cyanobacteria that flourish in waters so alkaline and mineral-rich they can calcify organic matter, a phenomenon that has long fueled myths about a petrifying lake. Despite its caustic conditions, natron becomes the life source for millions of lesser flamingos, providing them with a protected breeding ground where predators rarely dare to approach. Against the shimmering red expanse, the silhouettes of these birds create a haunting contrast, fragile forms thriving in a world shaped by heat, salt, and silence. Nearby rises Oldoinyo Lengai, the Maasai Mountain of God, whose rare carbonatite lava adds a dramatic volcanic presence. And for travelers, the best views of Lake Natron's surreal palette are often found at sunrise, when the first light ignites the lake in shades that feel otherworldly. Great Wall, China. The Great Wall of China sweeps across more than 13,000 miles of mountains, deserts, and grasslands, a colossal testament to the determination and strategic vision of the ancient Chinese empires. Raised over centuries beginning as early as the 7th century BCE, its stones and packed earth embody the collective effort of countless laborers, soldiers, and artisans who shaped the frontier of a rising civilization. The fortified stretches built during the Ming Dynasty stand as the wall's most enduring legacy, their towering battlements and watchtowers reflecting an era of immense military strength and architectural refinement. As it climbs razor-sharp ridges and plunges across vast plains, the wall reveals not only a defensive barrier, but a monumental declaration of resilience, an empire's resolve etched directly into the landscape. Recognized today as a UNESCO World Heritage Site, it continues to astonish millions, offering a glimpse into a past where human ambition matched the scale of the natural world itself. Namib Desert. The Namib Desert stretches along Namibia's Atlantic edge as an immense ancient wilderness, where wind-sculpted dunes and vast gravel plains create one of the planet's most raw and elemental landscapes. Its towering red dunes, some among the tallest on Earth, rise in sweeping arcs shaped by relentless coastal winds, forming a terrain so dramatic it seems chiseled by the desert itself. Farther inland, the sands yield to rocky outcrops, dry riverbeds, and rugged mountain ridges, revealing a harsh mosaic of terrain that challenges even the most seasoned explorers. Yet life persists against all odds. Desert elephants navigate parched valleys, beetles draw moisture from the morning fog, and hardy plants survive by extracting every drop of vapor carried inland from the Atlantic. For travelers venturing into this extreme environment, the essential survival tip is to move at dawn and dusk when temperatures are lower, and rely on the fog belt for natural hydration cues, as many desert species do to endure the Namib's unforgiving climate. Masai Mara, Kenya. Masai Mara unfolds as a sweeping expanse of rolling grasslands, sunlit acacia trees, and endless open skies, an iconic African landscape where the horizon seems to stretch toward infinity. Across its 10,000 square kilometers, the reserve's terrain shifts from golden savannas to riverine forests and rocky outcrops, creating a mosaic of habitats that support one of the most vibrant wildlife systems on Earth. Each year, the Great Migration transforms the Mara into a moving sea of hooves and dust, as immense herds of wildebeest, zebras, and gazelles pour across the plains in a living tide, guided by rain and instinct. When these vast herds converge at the Mara River, the scene becomes a dramatic collision of nature's forces, thundering footsteps, churning water, and silent predators waiting beneath the surface, capturing the raw grandeur that defines the African wilderness.